Player attributes are more important than tactics. Let that sink in, folks. Now, I know that most people in the Football Manager community care about tactics. Actually, you can't sneeze without seeing yet another YouTube tactic testing video come up. Now, I know from my own videos that people prefer watching content focused on tactics to anything else. But the truth is that tactics are not as important in Football Manager as the players themselves. I got in kind of an argument about this on Reddit back in December, believe it or not. Yeah, I know, only fools argue on Reddit. I'm learning my lesson. But I thought for sure that any team could be successful in Football Manager as long as they had the right tactic. And I was wrong. In fact, we know for a fact that attributes matter more than tactics. We know this because it has been heavily tested. I know this is controversial for a lot of you, but FM Arena's tests on this subject are statistically significant and are convincing. For example, in this thread, the FM Arena testers played 4,000 matches with teams using the same two tactics in carefully controlled conditions. They controlled as many variables as possible. And then they went back to the teams using these tactics and increased the following attribute points by 2 points each: acceleration, agility, balance, pace, strength, stamina, anticipation, concentration, work rate, finishing, and dribbling. Now, these 11 attributes are the so-called meta attributes. They are the attributes that have the most impact on the match engine. They increased every one of these attributes by 2 points and repeated the 4,000 match test. In both cases, with both tactics, the difference was huge. Now, when you take the numbers and put it down to an average season, the tested teams with the increased attributes scored 20 more goals on average, gave up 20 fewer goals on average, and had a 30-point improvement in the standings. Remember again, this was after 4,000 matches with all of the other variables held constant. In other words, good player attributes can make a bad tactic look good. Similarly, using poor players can make the best tactic look really bad. And man, oh man, did I ever learn that lesson in this match. We were in Slovenia, we were playing at Domžale. Domžale are in 20th place and we're at the top of the table. And I decided to rotate the squad. Now, the reason for the rotation is because we had a big FA Cup match coming up 3 days after this match. Now, you'll see more about that match tomorrow, and you're going to want to make sure you subscribe to check that one out. That was crazy. Now, in the case of the Domžale match, rotating the squad meant putting in players who most of you would immediately say are not good enough for our team. Among our controversial starters were Koyamatsu Tomoya in attacking midfield. He doesn't have very good mentals. There was 35-year-old Mihara Masatoshi, a slow player who's tasked with playing as a segundo volante. That's a recipe for disaster. Noda Hiroki, a slow defender who seems to be bad at just about everything. And then there was 15-year-old Kamigata Yoshiatsu, a left wingback. He's short and he really can't jump. We also stuck 31-year-old South Korean Kim Sang-won in there. You might remember him from the episode I made about him just the other day. His attributes are also not stellar. So how did we do? Well, there were a few nice surprises. 15-year-old Kamigata looked good, for instance. And there was, well...
Good strike, just off target.
Okay, it was an awful match.
And a foul pass being made right now. The whistle has gone. Flags up.
Starting Kim Sang-won was clearly the wrong decision.
Stood up well again.
His mistake here led directly to a goal.
Sumptuous finish, an absolute joy. Drives forward with purpose. Cross. Oh, fabulous!
And look at what Kim Sang-won does here. This is horrible defending, completely inexcusable. He's been beaten again here.
And that was somewhat errant.
I took him off at halftime in disgust. By the way, our XG in the first half was 0.06. That's by far the worst we've had all season. Mihara also looked really bad.
Floating through.
He needs to learn how to use his teammates.
Hard, very hard.
And look at how bad Mihara looks trying to win these headers. And now this is the most frustrating of all.
It's a decent ball. It's got through to him. Looking comfortable.
Mihara acts like he doesn't know how the tactic works. He needs to pass forward and not to keep passing back to the center backs.
Don't have many options.
Now this here was Mihara's biggest mistake.
Leading the charge.
Fortunately for us, the goal was brought back for being offside, but this is inexcusable. And here is Noda making a mistake that led to their second goal.
Count. That was impressive. Sumptuous finish, an absolute joy.
This was pathetic, absolutely pathetic.
Good position, and that has been cleared.
Look, I know that the problem is not our tactic. I mean, we just beat Gwangju 8-1 for crying out loud. The problem is with the players, not with the tactic. Now, fortunately, I know that. If I didn't know that, I might start twiddling around with the tactic. I might start tinkering here and tinkering there. In fact, I might start breaking something that wasn't actually broken. Now, this does not mean that studying tactics in Football Manager is a waste of time. On the contrary, tactics are not only fun to learn, but they become even more interesting when you start really digging into what is going on. Tactics are something that you can tweak, something that you can change. You feel like you're really in control when you play around with them. Just remember though that the players you have make a bigger difference than the tactic. And if somebody tells you that they have a miracle tactic that works for every team, look closely at how the tactic was tested. So if you're seeing names like Liverpool, PSG, or Manchester City coming up in the tactic testing, it's probably not the tactic, it's probably the players.